What is up, everybody? This is Adam. Welcome back to Fouled Out. I am back on American soil this week. It feels like my trip to Mexico and my podcast from my hotel room in Mexico are both a fever, both a fever dream that never actually happened. And I am very happy to be home recording in what is probably the world's most boring room. If you're watching us on YouTube, you can see that I am sitting in a completely white room that used to be my office. My wife and I are remodeling the top half of our house. And so my office has gone back to the base status that it was in when we purchased the house 5 years ago. This is the least amount of sports memorabilia and decorations that has been in this office essentially since the podcast started. So if you're on YouTube, you're watching us on YouTube, you can see that. If you're not watching us on YouTube, I don't know what you're doing. We've been putting the videos on YouTube for a little bit over a month now. Go check out Fouled Out on YouTube, like and support the channel, subscribe so that we can grow it there. You can see that I am sporting samurai hair. If you're on the YouTube, you can see my little man bun in the back. I can't get all of it up into the bun yet, so I have it like half up, half down, which is samurai hair, I guess. So go on YouTube. We post every week. You can enjoy the evolution of my man bun or make fun of me if if you don't like the man bun look, but I'm digging it so far. Matt is going to be joining me in just a little bit to talk about week 7 and 8 of the NFL season. Really missed Matt last week. I thought it was a good episode, but on weeks where I don't have Matt on the pod with me, it just feels like it's been forever since I've actually talked to him. So we will grab him in a minute and dive into the NFL. But first, we have our World Series set. It is the Toronto Blue Jays and the LA Dodgers, a team that a lot of people are calling baseball's new evil empire. A lot of people hate the Dodgers for building this Death Star lineup and spending all of this money. Where I have landed on the Dodgers is I'm like, good for them, basically. Baseball is the only sport where there's basically no rule on how much money you can spend and how you can spend said money. The Dodgers upset the baseball world a year or so ago when they signed Shohei Ohtani to a 10-year, $700 million deal and deferred the vast majority of the salary until after he's not on the Dodgers anymore. I can't be pissed about them being smarter than everybody else and just being more willing to spend than everybody else. Like Blake Snell is going to start the first game of the World Series for the Dodgers on Friday, the 24th. And numerous teams could have had Blake Snell in free agency. There were so many teams that could have had him, and nobody wanted to spend the money to bring him in. And the Dodgers were like, yeah, we'll sign him. We gave $700 million to Shohei. Let's sign Snell. Red Sox, you don't want Mookie Betts anymore because you don't want to pay this homegrown superstar who's one of the best players in the league. We'll take him. Oh, the Braves don't feel like paying Freddie Freeman after you guys won a World Series. We'll pay Freddie Freeman. I can't be mad that they have ownership that is willing to spend and that their ownership has now found creative ways to attract free agents in a market where a lot of teams are not spending on big name free agents. They're willing to go out and spend the money. They're outthinking other teams by saying like, oh, let's do this deferral and you can move back to Japan and we'll pay you and you can avoid taxes and it'll be really great for you, Shohei. And by the way, the Shohei contract has basically already paid for itself with ticket sales and market rights and all this other stuff, all this money that's flowing in from Japan because Shohei is a deity there. And like spending money, just spending a ton of money is not obviously working for everybody who's doing it. Like there's only like 4 or 5 teams who actually do it on a year-to-year basis. But, you could look at the Mets and be like, oh, Adam, the Mets are spending all of this money and they're not winning. So it's not just about spending money. And I would agree with you that the reason the Mets are not winning is in large part because they spent a lot of money on Juan Soto, who is fantastic, but he is not Shohei Ohtani, who, Shohei in one of the last couple games against the Brewers there pitches 6 innings, allows no runs, 10 strikeouts, and then goes 3 for 3 with 3 home runs from the plate. One of, if not the best playoff performances we have ever seen in baseball. I just kind of stopped to think after that the word unicorn is thrown around in sports a lot, especially in basketball. And Shohei Ohtani is a true unicorn in sports. And I think the only true unicorn that we actually have right now, where he is the best hitter in the league, and also one of the best pitchers. He couldn't, a great example is this guy couldn't pitch last year for the Dodgers. He had to have surgery, and they're like, well, he can hit, but he can't pitch. And he goes, okay, here's 50 homers and 59 steals, the first 50-50 season ever. And they go, okay, well, you could pitch this year. And he goes, okay, here's 50 more homers and also an excellent pitching season. Oh, you want me to pitch in the NLCS? Here's 6 shutout innings with 10 Ks. Oh, and I'm also going to hit 3 bombs, one of which pretty much left Dodger Stadium. So the word unicorn gets used a lot for guys like Kristaps Porzingis, where they're like, oh, wow, he's a unicorn. He's a true one of one. And he's not. He's just a big guy who could shoot and block shots. Like Shohei Ohtani is a unicorn. He is something we have never seen before, essentially since Babe Ruth, who, I don't know about you guys, I'm not old enough to have watched Babe Ruth, but a dude who's just an absolute dominant pitcher and a dominant hitter. We haven't seen that in any other sport. The equivalent in football is basically Travis Hunter, who is getting better but has not really lived up to the hype coming into the season, where they're like, he's going to play both ways and be fantastic both ways. Like, he's had some good moments, especially offensively, but he's not a dude who's playing, 50 snaps a game, both sides of the ball, and dominating. I don't even know what the equivalent would be in hockey. I mean, maybe someone like Bobby Orr, who, defensemen did not used to score that many points before Bobby Orr came into the league, and then Bobby Orr started dropping the hundos on people. So he's up there. I mean, you could say Wayne Gretzky. Like, I don't even know what the equivalent is in basketball. Maybe it is someone like LeBron James, who's just an athletic freak and dominant on both sides of the floor. But the Shohei Ohtani thing is really special. And I think instead of hating on the Dodgers, you should just wish that your team was more like them. Because, like I said, they're willing to spend money in a sport where you're allowed to spend as much as you want. Like, yes, there are penalties, but there's no cap. So the billionaires who own these teams, can spend as much as they want. And if you're a fan of someone like the Milwaukee Brewers, who had a really good run with a cheap payroll, like, that's cool, but you should be fucking pissed that your team is now looking at trading a pitcher like Freddie Peralta because he's going to get expensive soon, and we don't really want to pay that contract for that guy. You should be pissed about that. Like, I've been pissed for years that the Red Sox didn't want to pay Mookie Betts, who is a homegrown superstar. And I've complained over and over again on this podcast about our ownership not being willing to spend money to put this team over the top. The Dodgers ownership is literally willing to do whatever it takes. They're like, we will invent new ways to pay you in order to get you to come play for our team. And yeah, the Shohei Ohtani contract might have broken baseball, and the Dodgers will pay for it down the line. There will be a point where the Dodgers are spending hundreds of millions of dollars on guys who are long since retired. But honestly, who gives a fuck if you win 5 out of 8 World Series or whatever they're about to win with Shohei Ohtani? Because I do think they win this World Series against the Jays. I would say like Dodgers in 6. I think a lot of times, like we saw this with the NBA championship last year, is that we had the Thunder, who were a dominant team, and then the Pacers, who were kind of up and comers, and we all wanted to be like, yep, Thunder in 4, Thunder in 5, and ended up going 7. So I think with the Jays hitting, maybe they have a game or two that they just outslug the Dodgers and take a couple. Also got to remember there's a little bit of an edge here because Shohei was kind of negotiating with the Toronto Blue Jays and using them as leverage to get a better offer from the Dodgers. And there was that whole thing of like, oh man, he's on a plane to Toronto right now. They're going to sign him. He's going to be a Blue Jay, which, like, thank God he's not, because he is the best baseball player I have ever seen. In my humble opinion, the greatest baseball player of all time. But apparently that's not a conversation a lot of people are ready to have yet. Dad. But a little bit of an edge there. So I think the Blue Jays can get a couple, but this is the Dodgers World Series to lose. I said earlier in the playoffs, they are just more talented than everybody else. And even though they were not an absolute wagon during the regular season this year, That lineup and this pitching staff, I think, is just too much for other teams to handle until they are willing to spend more money to bring in better players like the Dodgers are. Like, you're already seeing that the Tigers may not be willing to negotiate with Tariq Skubal because he's asking for too much money as the dude who's going to be a back-to-back Cy Young winner. And he may also become a Dodger. So I don't know, man. I don't know what other teams are doing. Like, the Dodgers are not like the Thunder, who have this like 10-year plan that just outthought everybody. I'm crediting them for finding new ways to spend money, but they're just outspending everybody except for the Mets. So good on the Mets, even though it sucks for them. But other baseball teams, you need to start spending money. Don't just sit back and collect checks. You want to compete with the Dodgers, spend the money to do it. But with that said, my little samurai man bun and I are going to go grab Matt. But just a reminder, you can reach out to us, fouledoutsports@gmail.com. Hit me up. Talk to us about hockey, baseball, college football, stuff we don't talk about on the pod, or tell me how you feel about your NFL team or your fantasy team. I will get back to you on that email address. Whether you guys are watching on YouTube or listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever, thank you for your support. It is really appreciated. With that said, let's grab Matt. Let's talk football. Let's go. All right, Matt is here, fresh off of week 7 of the NFL season. Matt, how you doing, buddy?
Good. How about you?
I am good. The NFL season's going by a little bit too fast for my liking. I can't believe that we're going to be doing the like halfway mark podcast here in the next couple of weeks.
Yep.
Kind of depressing. But this week's podcast is inspired by a text message that I almost sent Matt over the weekend and decided to pull it back at the last minute. When the Giants were up 19-0 going into the fourth quarter, and then again when they were up 26-8, I almost text Matt, "Are the Giants good?" Which, before I could send the message, the Giants answered that question for us, blowing one of the wildest leads you will ever see to the Denver Broncos.
Quite literally the wildest lead.
Like, the fact that you're not only up 19-0, but the Broncos score and get a 2-point conversion, and then you get one of the wildest touchdowns we will have this entire NFL season, where Jackson Dart throws a pass that is deflected right to Theo Johnson, just kind of in the perfect area to take it in. And then you still you blow the lead, and then you move the ball all the way down the field, basically just on penalties.
Mm-hmm.
And you take the lead back with 30 seconds just to blow it again. Absolutely gut-wrenching stuff.
This is the way.
Absolutely.
I do want to put one thing into perspective, though. As wild as that touchdown was, it is not even the most wild touchdown we've seen this year, because that still belongs to the touchdown that the Titans scored against the Cardinals.
I said that, and then I was like, there's the touchdown the Titans scored against the Cardinals where Cam Ward throws the interception.
Yeah, he throws an interception, then it is fumbled into the end zone and recovered by the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, the other touchdown is Trevor Lawrence on Monday Night Football against the Chiefs, where he fucking falls down and then gets up and runs in the touchdown. Like, that was a good one too. Maybe we'll
Gazelle touchdown.
Yeah, we'll have to revisit all of the wild touchdowns we've seen this season. But the Theo Johnson one was up there. So that inspired this episode of the podcast, the Are They Good? I sent Matt a list of teams and players and things the other day. Matt has added to it. We're going to go through the list and talk about whether or not these teams or players, are good. And that can mean whatever you want it to mean. But we are going to start with the Indianapolis Colts. Matt, are the Indianapolis Colts good?
I haven't the slightest fucking clue. I feel like I should know by now. And all the evidence that I have at my disposal says they are. But I still just don't know.
Yeah, I'm gonna say yes, they are good. But it's like a question. It's like your upward inflection at the end, like, yes, they are good. Because I've been extremely hesitant this season to say that any team quarterbacked by Daniel Jones is in fact good.
Yeah.
But they're 6-1 now. They have the best record in the NFL. They have the best point differential in the NFL.
Yeah.
And when I look at the underlying stats, this offense is number 1 in EPA per play. The defense is number 12 in EPA against. They are number 3 overall in DVOA. Like I said, they have the best scoring margin. And I keep waiting for Daniel Jones to turn back into a pumpkin this season. Like we've talked about it multiple times on the pod already this year, where I'm like, yeah, but it's Daniel Jones. Like he'll go back. Daniel Jones now through 7 games, which is a pretty significant sample size. Number 3 in total EPA, tied for number 1 in EPA per play. Also number 1 in success rate amongst quarterbacks this season. Like, we have all this data to say that they're good. But my reaction is still to look at their 6-1 record and say, I am betting against that team in the playoffs. Because in my gut, I want to say they're like the Vikings of the last couple of years, where it's like they're stacking up a bunch of wins, but the underlying metrics do not support their record. Like their Pythagorean wins should be way less than 6, but every single number I look at is telling me, oh no, they're actually good. And then also the eye test, like they just beat the shit out of the Chargers on Sunday, 44-22. So I think I have to say they are good, but the question is going to be, when we get to the playoffs, does Daniel Jones turn back into a pumpkin, and can they beat the elite quarterbacks of the AFC like Patrick Mahomes or Drake May in the playoffs? The two elite AFC quarterbacks.
The only 2 that will be mentioned.
Reborn baby elite dragon, Joe Flacco. The elite dragon is back. 3. There are 3.
I feel like this Phoenix Dragon.
I'm like the Spanish Inquisition. I'm like, there are 2 elite quarterbacks, and you name 3, and it's like 3. There are 3 elite quarterbacks. The element of surprise, our weapons of torture, and Joe Flacco.
Nobody expects Joe Flacco.
Not on Thursday, they sure didn't. But if you listened to the pod last week, you did, because I told you not to pick Pittsburgh in the eliminator.
Yeah, well, it's so early, but when you're that old, you get up real early, so he was ready.
This is true. So yeah, we'll see like when we get to the playoffs with the Colts, but I think right now I have to say that they are a good team because every single number says they are.
Yeah, I mean, as long as Jonathan Taylor is being afforded the opportunity to play the way that he is right now, which is to say, like, I feel like the offensive line is doing a good job. I'm not saying that is they are like carrying him, but he is talented enough where if the offensive line allows him to get 1.5 to 2 yards without contact, good luck.
Yeah.
You just don't want to deal with that.
I have to ask you a question about the Colts, though. It's a sad question that I don't want to ask on this podcast, but how ass is Anthony Richardson that they went from Anthony Richardson to Daniel Jones and became literally the best offense in the league by EPA? Like, the only thing that changed, Shane Steichen is still the coach. The only things that changed are that Anthony Richardson is no longer the quarterback and Daniel fucking Jones is, and that Jim Irsay died and his daughter is trolling the sidelines now. And one of those two things is the difference.
Well, I mean, I'm just going to put this out there. We saw the Colts without Anthony Richardson before this season. And they were still bad. So, I gotta put my money on Irsay.
Is Carly Irsay good? Answer: yes.
Yes.
Literally the best owner ever.
Literally the best.
She's like, look at before and after.
Yeah.
Look at the before and after. She's amazing.
I mean, like, she seems like the worst, but she is clearly the best.
Clearly the best. The results speak for themselves, because I will die before I give credit to Daniel Jones for this. I will literally find anyone else on that sideline and be like, it was her. It's all her. It's because she's down there micromanaging their asses. How hilarious is that she's like, I'm going to be on the sideline with the headset on so I can see what's going on and like learn.
No, Shane. No, like that's fucking dumb. Like, you're not gonna do that.
Yeah, like what if she was the one that was down there being like, no, we're running the ball with Jonathan Taylor, and she's like, okay, Carly, whatever you say, and then it's just working over and over again. Bo Nix. Is Bo Nix good?
What is our benchmark for good?
It's whatever you want it to be.
Right.
Like this one, I truly have no fucking idea. I have no idea if Bo Nix is good or not.
I'm comfortable saying he's like a top 15 to 17 quarterback. Like, he's gonna be in that like real middle range. But like, I feel like this is just what we have with him.
Yeah. Well,
totally prove me wrong, and as he gets more reps, but like, I'm not seeing enough bite.
This is the thing about Bo Nix, though, is like they go, what were they, 10-7 last year, and make the playoffs with him as their quarterback. They're now 5-2 this year, and I've watched quite a bit of Broncos, and like, he is so ass for the vast majority of the game, and then in the fourth quarter is like amazing. It's like, I put him on here because I was watching that Giants game this past week, and he was so bad through three quarters that I was like, holy shit, Bo Nix is awful. And then he was so like, as bad as he was in the first three quarters, that's how as good he was in the fourth quarter. And it's a trend. Bo Nix, I want to read this to you. Bo Nix by quarter. This is his quarterback rating by quarter. And I know quarterback rating is flawed, but it paints a picture. First quarter, 77.7. Second quarter, 94.8. Third quarter, 63.8. Fourth quarter, 104. So if you just took him by quarter this season, in the first quarter, he is the 31st ranked quarterback in the league. In the second quarter, he's the 15th quarterback by quarterback rating. In the third quarter, some high school football coaches would say the most important quarter, he is QB 42, which is notable because there are only 32 starters in the league. But in the fourth quarter, he's a top 10 quarterback. And I say all this to say, like, if you were like, hey, you got to pick a quarterback to start your team around this year, you're trying to win a bunch of games. Bo Nix is, like probably somewhere between 15 and 20 on the list of guys I would pick. But if you're like, hey, Adam, you're down by 2 scores in the fourth, who do you want? It's not going to be very many guys until I get to Bo Nix. So, what does that mean? Because he keeps coming back, but he also keeps putting his team in these positions where they have to come back because he's so bad the rest of the game. I don't know what it all means. I don't, like, is he good? I don't know.
He is 25% good.
But like in winning time though, like I guess this is who I thought JJ McCarthy was going to be, and maybe he still will be.
Yeah, it's important to remember he has played 2 games.
Yeah. But like in one of the 2 games, we saw exactly this, where he was just completely fucking awful for 3 quarters, right. And then they're like, "Oh, hey, we got to go win this football game," and he's like, "I got you." But that's just who Bo Nix is, though. It's just who he is. And I don't know if that means he's good or not.
It's just kind of impossible to say what, like, where this is going to go because of how sporadic he has been. Like that was the thing that I expected to improve this year is like the consistency, like making quick reads, getting the ball out quickly, all that. And in a lot of ways been potentially even more chaotic.
Yeah. I said this last year with Bo Nix is like he was going to be better as a rookie than like Caleb Williams or Drake May because he is so much older and has so much more football under his belt, but that he was already basically like at or close to his ceiling. We talked about that in the AFC West preview pod coming into the season too. That's like, how good can the Broncos be? And they're like, how good can Bo Nix be? This team is going to go like, they're going to go as Bo Nix goes. If he's awesome, they're going to win 14, 15 games. Mm-hmm. If he's not great, they're going to win 10 because they still have a really solid team around him. But I don't know if any of that means he's good or not. San Francisco 49ers. Are they good?
I feel like they're meh. Their schedule still might allow them to make the playoffs. But, like, I mean, God, who do they play this week?
I think they play Houston this week.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's just like they don't play anyone, but it doesn't look good anytime they play anyone. Like,
yeah. So I put them on.
This is going to be one of those weeks where, like, they probably win if they don't give up a defensive touchdown, but they might give up a couple of defensive touchdowns.
I put them on here because they're 5-2 now. They're leading the NFC West because the Rams and the Seahawks are also 5-2, but they've beat both those teams already somehow. And every week it seems like another key player goes down for them.
Yeah.
Last week it was Fred Warner, and it's just
how
crazy.
many monkey paws do they have?
Well, this is the thing is like, Fred Warner goes down. They're like one of, if not the best linebacker in the league. And they're like, oh, that's cool. Here's Tatum Bethune, a 2024 7th round pick. He's going to have back-to-back 10 tackle games. Oh, guess what? Bryce Huff is a Pro Bowler now. Have fun. We're going to bring in we're going to bring in Chase Lucas, and he's going to break up 3 passes. Great. It's like, yeah, it's the next man up mentality for them has just worked wonders this season. Brock Purdy's missed quite a few games, and Mac Jones has been a roller coaster, but has filled in admirably for the most part. But like, it honestly just seems like if it's not CMC and Trent Williams, then the injuries don't matter. And like, as long as those two guys are healthy, the offense is just going to find a way, and they can just patch the defense together enough with Salah being back there. It's fine. We don't have Fred Warner. Who cares? Here's Tatum Bethune.
Mm-hmm.
Shit pisses me off.
It'll be interesting because while like Houston's offensive line sucks, I really don't think that there's another team they could face that is going to know the intricacies of their systems as well as D'Amico Ryans. So,
yeah, that game will be interesting this weekend. My answer for if the 49ers are good or not is no, they're not good.
That's kind of where I am. Like,
yeah, we talked about this with the Colts already.
They're a one-trick pony.
Well, the 49ers are this year's Vikings. They're gonna win games. They're gonna make the playoffs. Like, I want you all to make peace with that. We both picked it coming into the season, and I'm really glad that I talked you into that one because the schedule sucks so badly that this team will make the playoffs. But like, even with how weak their schedule has been so far, Their point differential is +7, even though they're 5-2. So like they barely beat the Saints, and they barely beat. I forget who the other bad teams like on their schedule were, but like the Falcons beating the Falcons by 10 was their biggest margin of victory this season so far.
Yeah.
And actually took them from being a negative 3-point differential to +7. They're 18th in DVOA. So I think this is the team where they're going to get like Brock Purdy back and Ricky Pearsall eventually. Maybe Brandon Ayuk in a couple of weeks. And I think that they will make the playoffs. And when we get there, people are going to be like, well, statistically, they weren't great this season, but they were missing a bunch of pieces. And now all those pieces are back and this team is good. And that will be the time we will pounce and pick against them and make money, because the underlying stats are like, no, they're not good. They're barely beating shitty teams. It was the Cardinals were the other shitty team. They I think so. I think that's one I'm circling. There are a couple teams that I'm just like circling and underlining, and I'm like, money in the playoffs. We're gonna make so much money. The 49ers they're one of them. I say no, they're not good. Brian Thomas Jr. Is he good?
I'm trying to find a reason to not say no, but right now it looks like no. Like the guy had drop issues last year. He had drop issues coming into the league. He's having drop issues this year. Part of this is on Trevor Lawrence, but I won't go down the Trevor Lawrence rabbit hole because that will be the rest of the episode. But like, he's totally afraid to go over the middle now. It's a gamble every time I start him in fantasy now. Like, if I'm going to get anything.
Yeah, he's definitely been disappointing this season. I was watching the Jags game in London the other day, and I kind of feel like, not to go down the Trevor Lawrence rabbit hole too far, but I'm like, Trevor Lawrence coming into the league, one of the analogies that was used was like, he has a golf bag and he makes all the throws. Like, he can use the driver and the wedge and the putter and the whole thing. I was watching him the other day and I was like, he seems like he only has one club now, and it's the one where it hits the ball 10 feet above anybody's head that he's trying to throw the ball to, because holy shit, he is bad, man. And I think that's like the one saving grace for BTJ this season is like Trevor Lawrence has been bad, and like the offense has not really adjusted to like Liam Cohen's system that well. But yeah, I mean, I'm on the same page as you though. Is like the only way I can defend BTJ right now is to say his quarterback has been bad, but it doesn't necessarily make him better, right? Like you probably both been bad this season.
Yeah, I mean, he absolutely needs to put in work this offseason.
He needs like, Mac Jones back.
To like get consistent with catching the ball with his hands, because that was like honestly the biggest knock on him coming out of college is tries to catch the ball with his body, and that's just not sustainable in the NFL.
Yeah,
you're gonna drop a lot of passes.
I will say this though, as much as I am not a Mac Jones fan / believer, the one thing that he's always done really well is he throws an extremely catchable ball. The problem is it's extremely catchable by the defense as well.
It's extremely catchable for everyone.
It's just extremely catchable, but like
he is an equal opportunity quarterback.
Trevor Lawrence does not throw a catchable ball, like not only accuracy wise, but I feel like he's throwing like 1,000,000 miles an hour every single throw.
There's a reason he was like in my bottom 5 quarterbacks.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna keep. I was gonna say I don't always want to bring this up, but I am just gonna keep bringing it up because it's like it's the best thing in my sports life right now. the thing that's so amazing about Drake May, like one of the things with him is that he just has a fucking rocket launcher attached to his shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
He's really been able to like throttle it down. He throttles it up. Like we've seen him throttle it up, but he's really been able to like throttle it down, which being able to do that in year 2, I think is just another thing that makes him special, because like Trevor Lawrence is still not doing it in year 5 or whatever.
But
it is now.
he also has the benefit of someone like Stephon Diggs that can handle the fastball, right? Like he had Josh Allen. He knows how to handle that.
Yeah, but that was the thing with Josh Allen too. Is like that's something it took Josh Allen a couple years to learn. Is we're like we're going to throttle this down a little bit. Trevor Lawrence, I think, still hasn't learned that. So
Stafford was the same. It took some time.
Yep. So where are we at on BTJ? Good or no? I think I have to say no.
I'm saying no right now.
Yeah. The Bengals with Joe Flacco, the elite dragon, has woken up. Are they good?
No. I love me some Joe Flacco. I do. And watching him completely one up Aaron Rodgers was just chef's kiss.
The Joe Flacco read option is like
the Joe Flacco read option was absolutely insane. And the only thing that's more insane than that is the fact that it worked. Like, like if that didn't work, Joe Flacco might have died.
I need some like emotional TikTok edits that with the Joe Flacco read option. Like that's perfect.
But like we also saw the way he was throwing the ball in Cleveland earlier this year. And I think it is a mistake for everyone to look at this past Thursday night and think that that is the Joe Flacco that you're going to get every week. Especially at his age. Like, because a lot of athletes that play to that age say that it is a lot of like, some days you have it and some days you just really don't. And he clearly had it that day, but there's probably going to be some weeks where he doesn't have it. And it doesn't matter if he's throwing the ball to Jamar Chase 23 times if he only accurately throws it to him 3 times. So
I'm going to make the mistake here. The Bengals are good with Joe Flacco. I think they are. I don't think they're going to look like that. Like he threw for 342 and 3 touchdowns. He's not going to do that every week, but I like this Bengals team. I mean, if he does it every week, then we're back to elite dragon status. He wasn't even doing that in his prime.
Yeah.
What I will say, though, I do think the Bengals are better with Joe Flacco at quarterback than they are with Jake Browning. And
I should hope so.
Well, like this is something that we see with a lot of teams that I've never understood is like, obviously your backup's never going to be as good as your starter, but why would you get a backup who is just like a completely different quarterback than your starter? Like with Joe Burrow, this team is predicated on like him holding the ball longer, throwing it deeper, looking for bigger plays. And then he gets hurt and you go to Jake Browning, who I know he's been good for them in the past, but like Jake Browning is like, I want to do everything fast. I want to get the ball out quick. I want to throw like short and intermediate passes. So when Burrow goes out, now you have to completely reinvent your entire offense around what this guy likes to do. And you got to get into his stuff, which is not what your entire offensive philosophy is built on.
Yeah.
You bring in Joe Flacco, and at least Joe Flacco is like, yeah, I'll throw it up. I don't give a fuck. I'm 40. It doesn't matter to me. I'm going to chuck
You're
that
still
thing.
paying me, right?
Yeah, I'm going to put that thing up there. And that's what we saw, I thought, on Thursday.
You're paying me. I'll throw it over the mountains.
Yeah, fuck it, man. He's still got an arm. And I know it might not be there every week, but like that just the fact that they can have like Jamar Chase and T. Higgins play their game.
Yeah.
I think that combined with the fact that now you have a veteran who can help make the right calls in the run game at the line of scrimmage is going to open up that run game for Chase Brown and the Cincinnati Bengals of like, now everything is not within 10 yards of the line of scrimmage like it is with Browning. It's we're going to challenge you downfield. And like you already said it, but Joe Flacco did the thing that you should be doing, even if Joe Burrow is healthy. Give your best player the ball.
Yeah.
But we talk about this every single year on this podcast. You have Jamar Chase. You can target him 23 times a game. You're allowed to do that. And he's not going to get that many targets.
Should be like the absolute minimum.
Just, put the ball in the hands of your best player. Right? And they did that to like a nauseating extent because I was playing against Jamar Chase in fantasy this week. And I was like, holy shit, how many targets is this guy going to get? But that's the right move. And I think this win was like, you cannot overstate how critical this win was to the Cincinnati Bengals season.
It saved their season. If they had lost that game, that entire roster was going to check out.
Is there a bigger difference, like just feelings wise in the locker room? Is there a bigger difference than the difference between 2-5 and 3-4? Like that, it sounds like it's just one game, but that sounds massive. You're talking about one game under 500 as opposed to 3 games under 500.
Yeah.
7 weeks into the season. And now their next 2 are home for the Jets and home for the Bears. And then they have a bye. This team, like, there's a high likelihood they're going to be 5-4 for their week 10 bye. And looking at like, oh man, how many more games we got to get through until Joe Burrow can come back? Like, I don't think you can overstate how huge this was for them. I fully expect them to beat the Jets this weekend and get to 4-4. You know, am I picking it in the eliminator pool? Absolutely not.
We are not picking them in the survivor pool.
Absolutely
because the Mike White game is coming.
Yeah. But I
don't know when, but it is coming.
Yeah. I'm not going to say the Cincinnati Bengals are contenders or even a playoff team with Joe Flacco at quarterback, but they are much, much better than they were with Jake Browning my pants. The Dallas Cowboys. Are they good?
The offense is good. The defense is equally not good.
Yeah. Actually, literally, because the offense is number 2 in EPA per play and the defense is number 31 in EPA against. So they are the second best offense and the second worst defense so far this season. And we see the same thing in DVOA. They're number 4 in offensive DVOA, number 30 in defensive DVOA. So yeah, the offense is very, very good. And I was talking about this on the pod last week that George Pickens and Javonte Williams have been revelations for them offensively this season compared to what they spent to get those guys. But I feel like we have seen teams like this across the various levels of football where it's like offense, awesome, can score on anybody. Defense, horrible, cannot stop anybody.
Yeah.
And like 3-1 kind of just feels like the perfect record for this team where it's like, yeah, that's like exactly what they are. Is they're probably about a 500 team.
Perfectly balanced is all things should be.
Yeah. They're probably about a 500 team the end of the season. Like they're going to be 8-1 probably, or like, you know, right around there because the offense will win some games and the defense will lose some games, you know, but they're fun as hell to watch. Like this is the most fun team I think to watch in the NFL right now, aside from Drake May and the New England Patriots, just because God, like who doesn't love watching Drake May? But they like, it's like the Jameis Winston 30-30, 5,000 season was fun to watch. That is this team is the personification of Jameis Winston throwing 30 touchdowns, 30 picks, and 5,000 yards. That's just exactly what this team is. It's like, it's going to be super fun to watch sometimes and super fun to watch in the other direction, like in the train wreck direction sometimes.
Dak has been playing absolutely out of his mind this year.
Yeah. Well, but this is the thing is people are like, wow, they beat Washington 44-22 on Sunday, and people are like, the Cowboys are back, Dak for MVP. And I'm like, wait, hold on. They just lost to Carolina 2 weeks ago. Like literally the game before this, they lost to the Carolina Panthers.
Like, it sounds like Jaden Daniels is going to be out this week, which means he was playing injured in that game, and they didn't have Terry McLaurin. So, like, you're playing, like, what, 60% of Washington? Like,
yeah.
Also, like, we, to our credit, were ahead of it and on board with the Washington regression train.
Yeah. I picked Washington to make the playoffs. Bolts and Scolds! Bolts and Scolds! Week 7!
Oh, I forgot. You gave in. Because you were on board with me, and then you chickened out.
Well, I think I put their floor pretty low, but I had the ceiling like higher than you. And I was like, my argument was that sometimes you just have Jaden Daniels. But God, he has not been healthy pretty much at all this season. And this was my biggest fear for him coming into the NFL was I was like, I think this guy is going to be electric, but I think he's going to be a glass cannon and that it might not be like injuries that take him out for the whole season. But it's like, he's nicked up, and so he's not playing well. Oh, his hamstrings hurt, so he's going to miss 3 weeks here and a week here, and blah blah blah.
That's the problem. Is that like it like outside of like a season-ending injury, like a hamstring is probably the worst injury that he could have had because they take so long to heal, and so like. The only answer to that is for him to sit out for like 5 weeks, which you can't do that with your quarterback if they can play.
Do you remember my comp for Jaden Daniels in the draft? Tall
RG3?
It was tall Kyler.
Yep. Yeah.
Because when he's perfectly healthy, he's awesome and he's going to put up huge stats, but it's like Kyler is questionable with knee soreness. And then he plays and he's dog shit.
I mean, what's his name? It's Washington's OC. Why am I blanking on his name?
Cliff Kingsbury?
Yeah, maybe with Kingsbury because Kyler has not been awesome at all.
Yeah, I was like
that. Change.
I was specifically referring to that season that Kyler, like when I did the analysis, I was talking about that season where Kyler was on pace to throw for 4,000 and run for 1,000, and they were like 9-0 or whatever. And then Kyler, it's like, Kyler's knee's sore, and they went like 11-5 and then lost in their first playoff game. And it's like, that's the experience. Bolds and Scolds for week 7.
I'm gonna throw one more in there.
Oh, okay.
If you're down for it. Are the Eagles good?
I feel like I have to say yes.
Because they objectively look bad when you watch the games. Like they look bad. And like it's truly at a point where you've got to have some stones to keep starting Saquon Barkley in your fantasy league. Like
I was just gonna say to you is like I think that I've been kind of thinking about some of our preseason takes, and sometimes I pick Washington to make the playoffs, And other times I tell you that Saquon Barkley is not going to be good this season. I think my bold prediction for the NFC East was he finishes outside of the top 10 flex players in fantasy. And it looks like he is going to be nowhere close to that.
Yeah, I mean, is he going to be in the top 100?
He,
Like,
yeah, he ran 18 times for 44 yards against the
Jesus.
Vikings and one catch for -2. So the Eagles are funny because they do just keep finding ways to win. And now this game was the second time this season where they're like, okay, fuck it. We need to open up the passing offense. And Jalen threw for 326, and Devonta and AJ Brown both had massive games. And everybody's like, yeah, these are the Eagles. We're going to open up the passing offense and be awesome. And I guarantee you next week that AJ Brown and Devonta Smith are going to combine for like 5 catches, right? Where they're just going to go right back to the shitty offense that they've played this season. But I
Yeah.
am I picking them in the eliminator pool this weekend? Probably not.
It's really frustrating because, like, then, like, you see the passing stats in that game that Hurts puts up, and Eagles fans or just Hurts fans will be like, see, look how great he is. And I'm like, do you understand how bad the cornerbacks in Minnesota are? If the ball is in the air, I can promise you they will not do anything with it. Like,
Yeah.
Jeff Okuda might hand the ball to the receiver before he intercepts it.
Yeah,
It's
I think I have to go yes on the Eagles still. I mean, like, relatively good. I'm not picking them to win the NFC by any means. God, their scoring differential this season is +5. They're 5-2. Woo!
Relative to the teams that will be in the playoffs, I would say no. Relative to the NFL, I think you have to say yes. But even that feels a little dicey.
Yeah, but like the thing that's hard for me is that they're 5-2 and they probably have the best resume. Like they have the best wins of any NFL team. They've beat the Chiefs in Kansas City, the Rams at home, and the Buccaneers on the road.
Mm-hmm.
It's nobody else has 3 wins that are that good, I don't think. But then, like, you know, they lose to the Broncos at home.
Yeah.
They lose that Thursday night football game to the Giants. It's not like they're blowing the doors off teams, but they've had a pretty tough schedule. So, you know what? I'm going to take back my yes. I'm going to join the wait and see tribe, and we'll see. All right. Bolds and Scolds, week 7 of the NFL season. I'm going to let you go first because I did both of ours last week. I did 2 bolds and 2 scolds. So it threw me off because I was in Mexico and did the pod by myself last week. So I have no idea whose turn it is. So you're going first.
Well, for my bold, I have to go with the Legion of Whom, which that is the secondary that the Detroit Lions ran out last week. Now, I have heard damn near every beat writer in the Detroit area throw that name out there as if they came up with it originally. And guys, stop it. Like, it's really not that original. Everyone was going to naturally come to that conclusion. Like, not a single day one starter running out there. And like Amik Robertson, I guess, should be counted because he was our opening nickel. But, like, no Terrion Arnold, no DJ Reed, no Brian Branch, no Kirby Joseph. And you held Baker Mayfield, who was on fire, to 9 points. That was the first time that the Buccaneers had been held under 10 points since early in 2024, I believe. Uh,
And
that
you guys,
like,
and you guys purposely injured Mike Evans. Broke his clavicle. Don't mess with Detroit, Mike Evans.
I mean, that's a risk when you try to make a dive and catch like that. Like, you're, it's not great on the collarbones.
I know. I'm teasing. I know they didn't. It was a weird kind of freak play, but bummer for Mike Evans though, because his
Yeah.
streak of 1,000-yard seasons will come to an end with that injury.
What, you don't think he's going to get 900 yards in late December?
I mean, it's not going to be for lack of trying on the Buccaneers' part. We saw that at the end of last season.
They just ran out a bunch of guys that were essentially practice squatters at best. And they played like an elite unit. Like that was a performance that you would expect out of the guys in Denver or the guys in Houston or the guys in Seattle when they're fully healthy. Like that that was incredible. And you're probably not going to see anything like that ever again.
Yeah,
Like
I'm
that
glad.
is an absolutely insane thing.
I'm glad you're back so that we can just make the Bolds like Homer corner again. Because last week when you left me alone, my Bolds were Rico Dowdle and Joe Shane. So like that was a week. That was a fucking week. And you went with your team this week. I am also going to go with my team. My bold is New England Patriots head coach Mike Vrabel. Mike Vrabel got his revenge on his former team, the Tennessee Titans, this week, going back to Tennessee for the first time since he was unceremoniously fired in order for the Titans to go out and instantly hire one of the worst coaches that we have ever seen in NFL history, in Brian Callahan. The Patriots win 31-13. The game ends with the fans at Nissan Stadium in Tennessee chanting Vrabel, Vrabel. And to be fair, it was mostly Pats fans near the end of the game, but Vrabes was like so classy about this whole thing before, during, and after the game. Like before the game, he was asked about it. He's like, "No, there's no ill will. Like we're focused on winning. We're like, I don't care about the Tennessee Titans. I care about this team. I want to win this game. Blah blah blah. There's no extra motivation." After the game, Drake May gave him the game ball in the locker room, which is just like the leadership and the vibes in the locker room right now is just like fucking immaculate. But Drake gives him the game ball. They asked him about it after the game. They're like, "Does this one feel better?" And he's like, "Nope, like it feels good. We won. I'm happy. Let's get out of here." He's just like a super classy dude. He is never gonna say it, but that had to feel good as hell hearing the fans chanting Vrabel, Vrabel as you just beat the shit out of your former team. Mike Vrabel now has more wins in 7 games as the Patriots head coach than the Tennessee Titans have in 24 games without him. 5-4 scoreboard. And after the Raiders game to start the season that the Patriots lost, there were numerous Tennessee fans on Reddit and other social medias talking about, yeah, this is why he deserved to get fired. He's not actually that good. And my message to those fans is, ha, 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 na, 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 na. Your franchise is pathetic and fucking sucks and will suck for the foreseeable future because you had one of the top 5 coaches in the sport and you fired him for absolutely no reason. He is so amazing and has been everything I've wanted him to be and more. And he really deserved this. And I know he'll never say it out loud, but behind closed doors, I guarantee that he's just like, fuck yeah, that felt good.
But like, here's the thing with those Tennessee fans is like, what they were saying is wrong. Sure. All right. You and I both objectively agree on that. However, let's just play that out there. Okay. What if they were right? You're still the organization that you are cheering for still were like, well, the answer to that is Brian Callahan.
Still to this day, the funniest thing about the Brian Callahan hire to me is they hired him so early in the cycle.
Yeah.
Like they were the first team to hire a coach that year, I believe. And they were like, we're specifically firing this awesome coach who has had a ton of success here and been coach of the year and got us to a number 1 seed in the AFC with Ryan Tannehill as quarterback. He got us to an AFC championship. Like, we're going to fire that guy because we have to go out and get Brian Callahan. They're like, that's our dude. We need that guy. We need a guy who's going to go 4-19 against the spread, the worst mark of any coach in NFL history.
That's like the anti-Campbell.
It is.
Which, honestly,
so bad.
If you look at, the way he talks about Will Levis, yeah, he is the anti-Campbell.
Yeah. Yeah, it just... I was happy for Vrabel. And like I said, I know he'll never say it, but that had to feel good. And I'm glad that he got his moment because he deserved that, where he's standing on the sideline at the end of the game and everybody's chanting his name. Who is your scold for week 7?
I was torn on this one, but I got to go with the NFL. So,
all of them.
The entire thing, and that's it. That I'm not saying anymore. No. That's just like how we end the podcast forever.
Just like fuck it.
We just go dark.
The sport sucks.
So Jackson Smith-Njigba was fined for his touchdown celebration where he dunked on the goalpost. Right? Which I think is dumb, right? But hey, that's the rules. Totally get it, right? It's in the rules. You want the players to follow the rules. That makes sense. Cool. So then, why, NFL, are you taking the picture of that celebration and using it in your marketing campaigns? Huh? Oh, you wanna celebrate the fun, but then you wanna fine the players for doing it? Which is it? Pick a fucking lane. Quit being fucking cowards.
It's it's one of those the left hand doesn't talk to the right hand things where the league office is like, oh wow, he can't do that, we're gonna fine him. And then the social media intern is like, that was sick. Put this in a promo. And they're like, no, don't do it. And he's like, it looks cool. Yeah, that's a good one.
And I think it just it's a really bad look after all of the chicanery that the NFL was kind of caught up in the previous week. So they really need help in the PR department, and I feel like anyone that could help them, they're just gonna tell to fuck off. So
yeah, well, this is the thing with the NFL though, is it just doesn't matter. They're just everybody nobody's gonna stop watching it. They're not gonna stop making money. It just really doesn't matter what they do. Why even have PR? They're like, well, why did you do that? Well, because we wanted to. Okay, we do whatever the fuck we want. We're the NFL.
Are we just in a social experiment?
They're like, let's just.
Are they trying to see how far they can push everyone before they stop making money?
Yeah, but like, I think it's a fair experiment to conduct though, because what would actually make you stop watching football? Like,
Like,
I would literally have to find out that it's scripted. And even then, I'd be like, well, they wrote Drake May to be really fucking good, so I'm probably still gonna watch football. They're like, the writers gave me Tom Brady for 20 years, and then I had to wait 5 years, and I got Drake May. I love this show. It's fantastic. It's better than a lot of the other scripted television I watch. So I don't even know if that would get. I don't think there's anything that would make me stop watching football.
I think for me it would probably be like significant further progression of like limiting or shifting the balance of like power towards offense from defense.
No, I'd still watch that shit.
I not like I think if we saw like significant progression there, like it would be borderline unwatchable at that point. Because at that point, why even have the defense go out on the field?
I'd still watch. I used to love watching Oklahoma versus Oklahoma State, and that was just essentially 7-on-7. My scold, I had a really hard time picking, so I'm gonna do mine, and I'm just gonna shout out my other two at the end because I had three where I was like, God, I really want to do all these. I picked the Miami Dolphins and their quarterback Tua Tagovailoa. So you and I have talked a lot on this podcast about how the biggest advantage you can have in all of sports is to have an awesome quarterback like Drake May on a rookie deal, like Drake May is.
Yeah.
Have I said Drake May enough on this podcast? I think there is no enough. What we haven't talked a ton about is that one of the biggest disadvantages you can have in all of sports is paying a guy who like he is a superstar who is actually nowhere close to being a superstar.
Yeah, and what is going down in the state of Florida?
Like, we talk about Trevor Lawrence, that's a good one. Kyler Murray, as much as I love him, that's probably another good one.
Yeah.
Tua Tagovailoa is like right up there with the worst contracts in the NFL at this point. The Dolphins are now 1-6 after losing 31-6 in Cleveland. And I heard before the game that it was going to be rainy and windy in Cleveland. I didn't hear how rainy or how windy, but they're like, yeah, it's not good weather. And I was like, I got to get on DraftKings and smash the fucking Cleveland bets because like Tua Tagovailoa cannot play in less than perfect weather conditions. Like, we know his record when it's less than 40 degrees. We know his record in the wind, in the rain, in like literally any element at all. This dude cannot play quarterback. And he goes 12 for 23, 100 yards and 3 picks. Now has 11 touchdowns and 10 picks on the season. As if him being awful wasn't bad enough. Like 1 week ago after they lost, he fucking called out his entire team. And basically told him, he's like, yeah, guys are late to meetings. Nobody cares. Everybody needs to step up. And then he goes and just, it rains and winds a little bit in Cleveland, and he just, completely shits the bed. So bad. And as if all of that wasn't bad enough.
And, there are tons of guys who, have come out and called him out for, yeah, Tua's been late to meetings for years.
Yeah. Well, if all of that wasn't bad enough, my guy is in year 1 of a 4-year, $212 million extension. The Miami Dolphins cannot get out of it until 2027, where 2027 is their first out, where they would have to take a dead cap hit of $32 million against a salary of $53 million. So that's kind of the first out, but still you're going to have to pay $32 million to get out of it. 2028 is better. It's a dead cap hit of $18 million against a salary of $66 million. So there's pretty significant savings there. But they're going to pay him $56.4 million next season, Matt. No matter what happens. And I just was going through the worst contracts in the league. And like, obviously Deshaun Watson is number one with a bullet.
Yeah.
That is the worst contract. But I think line two, it has to be Tua, Trevor Lawrence, and Kyler Murray, guys who were paid to be the guy and are not good.
Yeah.
And that's where they are. I wanted to give a special shout out to my two other potential scolds. One is the Atlanta Falcons, who spent $180 million on Kirk Cousins and spent the eighth pick in the quarterback or the eighth pick in the draft on a quarterback in the same offseason, only for both guys to completely and utterly suck ass for them. That I watched that entire Falcons 49ers game, Matt, and let me tell you, Michael Penix was not on the is he good list because Michael Penix fucking sucks. He is so bad away from Atlanta. Man, was he awful. And then my other scold is FanDuel. So FanDuel has this new ad campaign that has, God, I forget his name, but he's a Mexican actor who, he's not super famous, but he's in a ton of stuff. Like you 100% would recognize him if you saw him, but I can't remember his name. But it's this ad campaign that's all over the place. You see it every single commercial break in the NFL. You see it every time I turn on YouTube and watch anything NFL related. It's like FanDuel. And it's this commercial where these people are watching bets on their phones and they're like, one more yard. And then it shows a girl and she's like, no more yards. And at the end of the ad, there's a little thing that says like, please gamble responsibly and call this line, like call the gambling line if you have a problem. Matt, during that commercial, they show everybody's phones to show the bets that they're cheering on. And I shit you not, every single time a phone is shown during that commercial, the bet is a parlay of 4 or more legs that has odds of plus 800 or higher. I kept seeing the commercial over and over again, and I'm like, every single one of those bets is a parlay. And so I went on YouTube and watched the commercial, and I froze it every time that the phone pops up. The lowest odds on any of the bets is plus 800. And there's like 4 different bets shown. And then they're like, hey, gamble responsibly. Call us if you have a problem. There has been so many studies done and so much work done to show that gambling on your phone is an absolute blight on society, especially especially with men between the ages of 24 and 35. And we are just so in the wild, wild west of this thing that like years from now, people I'm not, this is not being facetious at all. I'm not joking. I honestly believe that years from now, people will look back at this time and say, how did we let this happen? And how did we let so many young men ruin their lives? And FanDuel has all this data and they're like, go now and we will give you free bets to place parlays of 4 legs or more, things that will never, ever hit. And the whole commercial is just people hitting these parlays. And I'm like, and then at the end, they have the gall to say, but gamble responsibly. Make sure you do it.
It's just the tobacco industry all over again.
Yeah. It is. And it is honestly pretty horrific. Not that I'm going to stop gambling. I use DraftKings, so that's why I'm scolding FanDuel. But I do gamble responsibly, though. The vast majority of my bets are not a lot of money, and they're like 1 or 2 legs, or sometimes like teases. I've been really like, dude, I went 7-1 on my bets this past weekend, including a tease I hit on Monday night, that Lions Seahawks tease that I text you. Mm-hmm. So like, I'm hot right now, but like a heater for me means I made like, $250 this weekend. I am not losing my savings or any portion of my savings to DraftKings or FanDuel, but unfortunately a lot of young men are right now. And FanDuel is encouraging them to do it. And so is DraftKings. Like DraftKings is not guilt-free. There is not, their hands are not clean in this scenario, but I just thought the commercial was kind of hilarious. Gamble responsibly. Eliminator pool. Last segment before we sign off here. 93.79% of the remaining contestants advanced last week. The most popular pick being the Kansas City Chiefs at 44.65%. That is the team that we picked on the pod last week. Most popular incorrect pick, the Pittsburgh Steelers losing on Thursday Night Football against the Cincinnati Bengals. If you watched on YouTube last week, I wagged my finger at you in the camera and said, no, don't pick the Pittsburgh Steelers. It violated all the same rules the Philadelphia Eagles violated the week before that. We saw how that ended. That said, I am going to regret saying this, but this feels like a pretty safe week to me. Typically what we see is like there's a couple weeks where it's like 90+% of people advance, and then there's a culling. We have some options. The Falcons at home for the Miami Dolphins. We have the Bengals at home for the Jets. We talked about that. I don't think we're not ready to play that one yet. We have the Pats at home for the Browns, the Eagles at home for the Giants, and then the coup de grace, the Indianapolis Colts at home for the Tennessee Titans. Those are all of our potential plays. Is there one that you are leaning towards more than the others?
I mean, I think the one that fits our rules the best is the Patriots at home against the Browns.
Yeah, I want to break one rule and go with the Colts at home for the Titans. The Titans are so bad. They're so bad. With the Pats, like, as much as I've been gushing over them,
there's enough potential game wrecking on the defensive side of the ball from Cleveland that, especially like this early in the week, who's to say what the weather conditions will be for that game, but like, yeah, I can see how maybe there's some risk there. I have a hard time seeing the Browns winning 2 games in a row, but
I agree with that. I think the Patriots will win. I'm probably going to put them in a bunch of teases because they're favored by 6.5. But just looking at it, the Colts are favored by 14.5. And Titans, I just watched the Titans for 3 hours on Sunday. And let me tell you, Titans bad. Cam Ward threw a ball backwards into the end zone for a fumble return for a touchdown. And as we went over earlier in this episode, Colts good. So that's my lean. Do you agree with that?
Those were my top 2 options. So
okay. I think a lot of these plays are fine. I would rank it like I like Colts Titans. I'm fine with Patriots Browns. I would even take the Falcons to beat Miami. I think like I'm going to go smash all of Bijan Robinson's overs. And when I say smash, I mean reasonable bets that I can afford to lose. Okay, if you're listening to the pod. I think Bijan is just going to absolutely go ham this weekend against Miami. And the Falcons are a completely different team at home. So any of those I'm fine with. If you play Bengals Jets, like just Godspeed, because the Jets have fucked us like the last 3 years on this podcast. I hate picking against the Jets. And then Eagles Giants. I don't see the Eagles losing to the Giants twice in a year, but then also would I be totally surprised if the Eagles lost to the Giants this weekend? No.
Honestly, like at this point, with what I have seen from their season, there is not a single matchup that you could put in front of me where I would be surprised if the Eagles won or lost that game. Like
I'm not there.
maybe the Titans, but like
It's like Titans and Raiders. The Raiders are bad.
yeah, the Raiders.
Yeah.
I kind of forget they exist because they are a black hole.
Wish I could say the same. Uh, but that is it for us. As always, Foul Duck can be found on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Cast, Overcast, anywhere you get your podcast. You can hit us up on Gmail, foul.sports@gmail.com. You can now go watch the podcast. You can see what I am calling the most boring room that has ever existed, the room I'm sitting in right now, on YouTube. So if you guys have subscribed to the channel, thank you. If you haven't, go check that out, subscribe, help us grow it there. But however you guys are watching or listening to the podcast, thank you for your support. We really appreciate it. And all the shorts are on YouTube now too. So if you were checking out our TikTok before, go on YouTube, Fouled Out Sports. Check that out. Matt, the NBA season started yesterday. You got any NBA takes you want to throw out real quick before we sign off?
Şengün is really fucking good, man.
Yeah,
I don't think he will reach.
I'm like the number one person that will tell you when I got stuff wrong. Like I was clowning myself for picking Washington to make the playoffs in the NFL, but I really like Şengün in that draft, and you can go back and listen to me talk about it on the pod.
I mean, I think we both did.
Yeah, we were advocating for him to be in the top 10 of that draft at least. And man, you're right. He is absolutely good.
Yeah. Like, I don't think he'll reach like Jokic level because Jokic kind of created his own level. But like, it is kind of crazy to watch someone else start to be able to play with dominance with the same play style when we just really, at least not for a very long time, have seen anyone else play that way.
Yeah, there are some Kings fans who will tell you that like Domas has that kind of, where he racks up a lot of triple doubles and stuff, but that's not
quite the same.
No, it's not true. And the biggest difference between Domas and those guys, I'm not going to talk about Jokic. I'll talk about Şengün. Is that Şengün can put the ball in the basket.
Yeah.
What do you have? 39 against OKC.
Yeah.
Like he is a problem. He's a threat all over the place. It's not just that he racks up like rebounds and assists. It's that he can really fucking score the rock.
Yeah.
And he did it at a high level against the Warriors in the playoffs last year. My one take I wanted to throw out before we go is big picture, I feel like this season comes down to one series to determine who is going to win the NBA championship. And that is the series that will probably take place between the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Denver Nuggets. I don't feel like, it's October 22nd, so we'll see. But I don't feel like there are any other contenders in the NBA this season. That is it. It is whoever wins that series is winning the NBA championship. And I am picking the Nuggets. That was my championship pick this year because I love what they did this offseason, getting rid of Michael Porter Jr. and that's it. Just getting rid of Michael Porter Jr. But this Nuggets team is a lot deeper than they have been the last couple of years. And I think in large part, it's still going to depend on what Jamal Murray can do. But like Bruce Brown is back. Cam Johnson, I think, is going to be a positive for them, where Michael Porter Jr. is a net negative. They added shooting, they added depth. And then if some of their younger guys can kind of take off a little bit, I think that they can be very good. And then, like, of course, they have the best player in the league in Nikola Jokic, who's just a completely unstoppable force at times. So I think they are the only threat to Oklahoma City repeating. And maybe it's just wishful thinking that they'll beat Oklahoma City and we won't have the same champion 2 years in a row. But I think that series is for all the marbles, no matter what round it takes place in the West.
I will also say that the Lakers may have had the worst transaction of the entire offseason when they went out and signed DeAndre Ayton. Like, he is still as bad as he ever was, and it it never ceases me to amaze me. Well, it never ceases to amaze me that every single time he has passed the ball, it looks like his first time trying to catch anything. Like the guy fumbled away so many points just by not being able to firmly catch the ball.
I
And
think it'll be really funny that people are going to find out that he's bad this year, because it's been kind of hidden, because he's been on like Portland, and he was on the Suns when they had their run to the finals, and he had the Valley Oop and like all that. So he had some moments, and people kind of look at those moments and they're like, yeah, he's good, man. He's going to be good for the Lakers. It's like, a lot of you are going to learn about DeAndre Ayton this year because he's finally in the spotlight, and he is
awful.
Well, he's 10,000% going to be the scapegoat for that team if they do not perform.
Yeah. I mean, the Portland Trailblazers paid him to go away.
Yeah.
Like, knowing full and well that, like, they're probably going to have to play him.
Even before that, we've talked numerous times on this podcast about how the Phoenix Suns fucking hated him.
Yeah.
They hated him so much. And so that's going to become a mainstream thing this year. That'll be fun to watch. But,
it's wild because, like, honestly, how much better off would this team have been if they were just like, okay, like, let's bring in, like, another backup big cheap and just run with, like, that, Jared Vanderbilt, and Jackson Hayes.
Yeah, I feel like it's the Russell Westbrook transaction all over again, where they're like, we could have like Buddy Hield and whoever else from the Kings, and they're like, last minute they're like, no, we're gonna get Russell Westbrook, and it was like, God, this is a bad idea. This is a horrible idea. Everybody knew it at the time.
Meanwhile, Buddy Hield just absolutely murders them in that game. Like,
yeah. And now Russell Westbrook's on my team, who tips off here in about 25 minutes. The only thing I'll say about my team is, you know what, we're like going to be the Dallas Cowboys of the NBA this year, where I don't think it's going to be good, but it's going to be entertaining as hell for people who are not Kings fan. I think I'm like, I want to say I'm apathetic towards the season, but I know there will be numerous points during the season in which I am on this podcast in pain because I'm a Kings fan. It's tradition, Matt, but we'll be back next week. Same fouled out time, same fouled out place. We are back on our regular recording schedule after my work and life has been crazy for a couple weeks here. So thank you guys for sticking with us. We will see you next Thursday. Sports Equinox this weekend. Monday, got the World Series, the NBA, Monday Night Football, and the NHL all going at the same time. Enjoy that. Everything's in full swing. There's football this weekend. There's basketball. There's baseball. There's hockey. Like, just enjoy all the things. And Matt, I will see you next week, buddy.
Yep. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys. Bye, Mom.
Bye, Robin.